Good morning, everyone. Today we are on the backlot of Warner Brothers Studios here in Burbank for the announcement and debut of their new Turner Classic Movies Classic Films Tour. That's a lot to say, but I got it. Only on take 4. You know, it's the movies, multiple takes. We're ready to see the announcement. There are some special guests here today, and then we're going to take an abbreviated version of the tour because we don't want to give the whole thing away, but tickets are available now on the website. Let's go see the announcement, tour the backlot, and the studios here at Warner Brothers. Turner Classic Movies Classic Films Tour just starting today. Very, very excited about this. And I was actually here the day that this new facility opened back in 2021. So glad to be back. Warner Brothers Studio Tour is always so much fun if you love movies. It really, really gives you an insight, in-depth look at how movies are made. Plus there's some prizes on the backlot too. So very excited to see what this tour is all about today and the special announcement with some special guests. Let's head on in here. If you'd like to bypass the panel discussion, use the chapters in the video description or skip ahead to the 36-minute mark. The tour starts just after that.
Hey everyone, my name is Brad. I am a tour guide here at Warner Brothers Studio Tour Hollywood. And thank you all for coming today to launch the official TCM Classic Films Tour. Starting today, Our enhanced tour will take guests on an incredible journey through the golden age of Hollywood, celebrating iconic movies featured on TCM, as well as showcasing the breadth of the Warner Brothers library. So thank you all for coming today. Now, the new tour promises an entertaining journey that offers a little something different for our fans. Guests can now visit new points of interest, including the exterior of James Dean's apartment, where he lived as he filmed his very first movie, East of Eden. We also welcome our guests to the Serene Rose Garden here at the studio. This is where Jack Warner used to have his tennis courts. It's also where we used to have talented dressing rooms for folks like Natalie Wood and Ronald Reagan. Yeah. 40th president, 41 movies. We also visit the scoring stage, the Eastwood Scoring Stage, very iconic location here at the studio. Built in 1929, it's where some of the most classic movies of all time have been scored, and we're very happy to welcome our guests to see that. We will also take guests for the very first time ever to see our animation building, also sometimes called Termite Terrace. You might know people named Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck. They know that building, and so will our guests when they come visit that for the very first time in studio tour history. We'll also take our guests to the Honor Roll War Memorial. This is dedicated to the brave men and women who served our country during World War II. Features names like Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Stewart, and even Jack Warner himself is featured on that plaque. And finally, of course, we'll take our guests to our property house. Our prop house is like no other in Hollywood, has 500,000 bar-coded items from Hollywood's great past, present, and even the future, from TV shows, movies, and everything in between. It also features the throne from Captain Blood with Errol Flynn, and one of my favorites, you'll see a Tiffany chandelier that was once in the Bette Davis movie, The Letter. So lots of fun things in store for our guests when they take our new TCM Classic Films Tour. And now it gets real fun, everybody. Behind me I've got some chairs because we're going to moderate, we're going to have a fun panel. We are excited about our partnership with TCM. Now I'd like to introduce some amazing panelists here. So as we welcome to the stage, they're going to share some insights and about the Warner Brothers legacy, history, and our commitment to providing unforgettable entertainment experiences across the globe. Now, first guest, please welcome to the stage, VP, General Manager of Warner Brothers Studio Tour Hollywood. Give it up for Mr. Danny Kahn. Danny has dedicated over 30 years to Warner Brothers. Initially starting as a security guard, his valuable experience played a pivotal role in shaping the studio tour into the world-class attraction it is today. Danny continues to lead our team, providing guests with an experience that celebrates Warner Brothers' iconic past and vibrant future. Let's give it up for Danny Kahn, everybody. Next, please welcome Warner Brothers Discovery Library historian, Mr. George Feltenstein. Come on up, George. George has dedicated his career to restoring and preserving classic motion pictures and television programs with 30 years of experience, including his tenure at MGM. George has a passion for cinema that shines through in his work. As a key player in the home entertainment market, George has curated and released countless beloved movies, ensuring the future generations can experience the cinematic treasures of the past. Give it up for George, everyone. I am also very proud to welcome to the stage TCM host, you know him, Mr. Ben Mankiewicz, everyone. Ben has been a TCM host since 2003, with over 2 decades of experience, including a family legacy that contributes to his commentary and discussions of classic Hollywood. His knowledge has made him a staple of TCM, where he continues to share the history of classic films with viewers worldwide. Give it up for Ben Mankiewicz. Next, I'm happy to bring to the stage another TCM host, Mr. Dave Karger, everybody. Dave is a journalist, film expert, and author with over 25 years of experience covering the Academy Awards. Dave is a familiar face on Hollywood's biggest nights, and each Sunday when he hosts TCM's musical matinee, one of my personal favorites, celebrating the musical genre. Let's give it up for Dave, everyone. Now, last, but certainly not least, I would like to bring to the stage, it's my honor to introduce you to Hollywood legend, Mr. Burton Gilliam, everybody. Burton has graced the silver screen for decades with a career spanning over 50 years. Burton has left a mark on Hollywood, starring in iconic TV shows and movies like Blazing Saddles, Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, Hearts of the West, The Waltons, Young Maverick, Alice, and many more. Let's give it up for Mr. Burton Gilliam. Let's give it up for all of our panelists, everybody. We are so thrilled to have each of you here with us this afternoon. I'm especially happy to talk to all of you all today. I'd like to ask a few questions, and I'm going to start with my friend Danny right here, about your partnership with TCM.
Can I just say one thing really quick first?
Say anything, Ben.
Dave also started as a security guard. Just want to point that out.
Did you? No. I would have cast you as a security guard.
I'm just bitter because I get introduced as a guy whose family got him here. They're like, this guy's fake. Come on, his grandfather got him the job. And Dave, author, journalist, politician, statesman, diplomat, former U.S. ambassador to the Soviet Union, Dave Karger.
You're both handsome. It's great. Now, Danny, switching gears here, Danny, can you please share how this partnership came about and what it means to both the studio tour and to TCM?
Of course, yeah. This is a dream collaboration with a dream team. TCM has been such great partners to work with, and this all culminated from, this was a conversation I was having with Missy Burns-Halpern and Barry Zeal one day at lunch, and we talked about, wouldn't it be neat to have the TCM hosts on the card? And one idea just turned into another, and here we are. But it's been just such a wonderful dream collaboration. The tour is just fantastic with the TCM hosts as part of it. The new stops that we have along the route are just absolutely fantastic. These are areas that we've never visited before on the studio tour that are just so highly asked for by the public, and we do a lot of data collection, and I see Amanda Galato over here that was once a tour guide and worked with us is with our Insights team now, and she would know people want classics, and we're delivering on that in a big way with TCM. So just absolutely thrilled to be here.
Now, Danny, you touched on visiting new spots. So there are new stops along the tour that mean a great deal to cinephiles like myself. Can you share with us the importance of some of those hidden gems that we haven't seen before?
Yeah, definitely. And you named them before, Brad. It's our Rose Garden that is just such a central place to the lot, and it really speaks to our culture. It's a place on the lot where you'll see executives taking breaks or collaborating and pitching ideas to one another, and it's just so interesting to see the culture there, but also learn about the history. This is where Earl Flynn played tennis. Those were tennis courts in the early years of the studio, and dressing rooms and cutting rooms, and to explore that area of the lot is just magical. Absolutely love it. And the Olive drugstore that we're able to reach on this tour now also, and talk
used
a
to
little
be
bit
across the street.
Used to be across the street. We started with 65 acres here when First National built this company and built the studio in 26, and the brothers moved to here in 29, and since then it's expanded to 110 acres, and we're visiting as much as we can. And one of those areas that's on the farther, across the lot is the new Termite Terrace, Warner Brothers Animation Studio. That Warner Animation was in since 1955 to 1964, and then Chuck Jones came back in the 90s and had his offices there. But great place, friends of animation. This is where Speedy Gonzalez and was born in this area, and just such great content for the studio tour. So pleased to add this.
And I think we do have a clip to round out. Because where are we now, Danny?
Well, this is Brownstone Street.
It is
one of the first streets this was the first street that we had on the lot when the brothers acquired the studio. So yeah, I think that there's a clip that we can talk to about this street a little bit. Instead of hearing it from me, you can hear it from Ben.
There's also many more titles that we touch on the Classics tour, right where you are sitting right now. Now, Danny, how does the partnership with TCM reflect the studio's commitment to preserving Warner Brothers film history?
That's a great question. The early motto of the brothers was to educate, enlighten, and entertain, and this is something that we still do today. Los Angeles is built on the film industry, and it's very much a part of our culture. It centers here at Warner Brothers. So that as you're taking the tour, you really learn about it's an endless exploration about what goes into filmmaking, the people behind the scenes, and building a better appreciation of it. So that commitment is firmly entrenched with TCM. That's something that we both do hand in hand with Warner Brothers Studio Tour Hollywood and on TCM.
Awesome. Thanks, Danny. Let's give it up for Danny, everybody.
Thanks, Rob.
We're going to move to George next door to you right there. George, Warner Brothers has been entertaining the audiences across the globe for 100 years, 101 now. Can you share the breadth of not just the content and library of our studio, but the vast collection of brands that we have available?
Well, I think that the importance of this event today and TCM being rightfully part of the Warner Brothers Tour is 27 years late, but it's finally happening. And I'll say that because of this. It was about a little over 27 years ago, 1996, Time Warner acquired Turner Broadcasting. And with that came the library that Ted Turner had put together of pre-49 Warner Brothers movies, the MGM library up through April of 1986, the RKO library. And Warner Brothers got its film library back, and it was reunited under one front. And TCM was part of Turner Broadcasting in Atlanta. The studio and Turner Broadcasting were really operating separately. And nothing made more sense than for the studio to embrace everything that TCM does. Our library, our classic library, is the centerpiece of the programming on TCM. And TCM shows movies from every studio and from every country, but the Warner Brothers Entertainment Library, the Warner Brothers Discovery Library, is unsurpassed as the industry's greatest. And now to have a tour that celebrates these films that were made at Warner Brothers going back to 1923 and our founding, their home for broadcast is TCM, and the most passionate, loyal viewers who now can come to Burbank and go on a TCM Classics tour. And that ties in directly with this company's commitment to preservation and restoration of our films, and making sure that when we restore a film and preserve a film, that we have a beautiful new master to supply to TCM and its rabid audiences.
Yeah, great answer. Great answer. We talk a lot, you and I, about Warner Archives and the amazing work you've done for Warner Archives for about 15 years now. Now, you touched on this, but how important is film preservation, and what does that process look like for our library?
It is the most, it's really the most important thing we can do, aside from making new films and new television programming, which is the primary operation here. But there's a little building just down the street called Warner Brothers Motion Picture Imaging. And that's where we do all our remastering and restoration. And I've been overseeing the Warner Archive collection, which is rare and hard to find classic movies on Blu-ray and DVD. And that was preceded by my overseeing catalog for Warner Home Video. And before that, I was with MGM Home Video. The whole arc of my professional career has been to restore, preserve, and give the people what they want, and hopefully in a physical media format on their shelf that no one can take away from them.
Yes. Thank you so much, George. We'll move on down to Mr. Mankiewicz here. We've already established you're only here because you're family. But can you share how that helps your family and your legacy help shape the content that you share on TCM, and how it contributes to preserving cinema history?
You know, I was a journalist, and I had no expectation that I would be in this business. I thought, well, I could be an actor, but I don't have it. I don't have that. And so, you know, I was a news reporter, and then I came out to Los Angeles, and I wanted to be a talk show host, a game show host, and then that TCM opportunity came up, and it was so far and away the best audition I'd ever given, and I'd given well over 100 auditions. It wasn't even close. Like instantly, I connected with it, and I got called back for another audition, and then eventually got the job. And I just thought, like, what am I doing? Like, this is. It feels like I was supposed to be here, and so I suppose it, you know, it informs everything I do. I mean, I make the joke that I did with Dave, but I'm super proud of my family, and I'm very proud to be a Mankiewicz. It has given me opportunities in life, and I mean, it's not like my name's Ben Spielberg. Let's be clear, but it's not quite the same opportunities. Yeah, So I think it informs everything I do, because even though, you know, I introduce, obviously, you know, 99% of the movies I talk about, you know, don't have anything to do with anybody in my family. I just feel like every single introduction I have, and I have no idea, 5,000, I don't know how many I've done, thousands and thousands. Yeah, I'm telling a little bit of my family's story also. And in addition to telling these vital stories that inform us about our own history, our own legacy, and our own connection to our past, which is a really powerful emotion. Like, you know, we think about nostalgia, and nostalgia gets a bad name because it's like, oh, one sheet from your favorite movie or a pennant of your favorite baseball team, the Oakland A's, by the way, for this year only. But it's much more than that. It is a powerful, authentic human emotion that connects us to our folks, to our grandparents, to our own families and our own histories. And I think that, you know, I'm super proud to be part of that, and that's why Dave and I and Alicia and Jacqueline and Eddie take this job so seriously.
Thank you so much. Are there any spots on the tour that hold special significance to you, especially with your family's history and your love of film? Are there any stops that you...
I don't know if there's anything specific about my family's history here that struck me. There's so many. First of all, I love how, like, when I'm turning on the ignition and that's my one moment where I look a little like Steve McQueen or James Garner. And then you get to the wide shot, you realize it's a golf cart. It's not exactly Grand Prix.
I was going to say McQueen.
Yeah. You know, I'm a like everybody here, I'm a huge Casablanca fan. I think it's it's the perfect studio movie. It's exactly what a studio could do and could deliver. And so there's you know, there's a little bit of the apartment above the cafe and the apartment above it there, where I think where Bogey and Bergman shot the scene in the flashback of the as the Germans were approaching Paris. You know, there's just there's so much cool stuff, and I love I was mentioning this on television this morning. I love the nonsense stuff that movies do. I was watching Silence of the Lambs this week, and Clarice Starling, Jodie Foster, is looking through old articles about Hannibal Lecter, and she finds a front page of the Baltimore Sun, I assume, and we zero. She has a story about Lecter, but there are 3 stories on the page. Like every movie fan does this, and those articles are nonsensical, right, that are on there, and they have a paragraph in that article about Lecter that makes no sense, and that is included in the other 2 articles too. So I love and I mentioned that because here on the tour, there's a moment where they show a clip from the Batman TV series, and they shot Batman and Robin arriving at police headquarters to go see Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara. They shot that one time, and then they used that every single time they arrived at police headquarters. It had to be in 50 different shows. They didn't shoot 3 that day. They shot 1, and they're like, "That's fine. We don't need to do it again." Again, it's not. That's some of the unsuccessful magic of this business. But I love little things like that, and I'm positive that that stuff connects with an audience.
Without a doubt. Thank you, sir. All right, we're going to move over to Dave now. Now, Dave, you have a book called 50 Oscar Nights. It's a great book. You should all get it.
Yes, Dave has a book.
Yeah, Dave can do everything, apparently. You have a podcast. I have a book.
Everyone has a podcast, Dave.
It's not a contest. It's the new feud up here. It's the new Betty and Joan right in front of us. Now, how do you feel about guests being able to visit locations that you reference in your book?
Well, that's what this is all about. And actually, one of the movies that filmed here on the Warner Brothers lot, partially, was Bonnie and Clyde, which actually used a bunch of the Warner Brothers sound stages. And Estelle Parsons is one of the 50 Oscar winners that I interviewed in my book. So it's just so cool to think back to interviewing her and hearing about being in the wardrobe truck and people saying, oh, you might get nominated for an Oscar for this. But then to actually be here on the spot where that happened, and that's the magic of this whole idea. And it just adds a whole layer of appreciation for any movie fan who comes. And I'll also just say selfishly, part of the joy of this for me, and I think for all of us, is that it allowed the five of us, me and Ben and Jacqueline and Eddie and Alicia, to be here together on the day that I still have PTSD from riding in the golf cart when Ben was driving it. He actually did a very good job. But it was so fun to drive around for the day. We had already shot some of the stuff for the tour, but a lot of the stuff we shot right here on the lot. And just what a pleasure it was to do it all and to be together, and it's just the perfect fit.
Thank you. Yeah, I totally agree, and the book is great, by the way. You sing you at every red carpet event. In case you all haven't visited the lobby, we've got some amazing stuff in there from the 20s, 30s, 40s, up to the 60s. I know you're a huge musical fan, like myself. Do you have a favorite piece inside there?
Well, yeah, it was so cool to walk through there and see like the costumes from Mildred Pierce and Jezebel. But for me, it was all about The Music Man, which is one of my favorite all-time musicals. So to see the costumes from, from Shirley and from Robert Preston is just so cool. And we got to actually have Shirley Jones at our TCM Film Festival last year, and she brought her son, Sean Cassidy. She brought all of her grandkids who had never seen their grandma in The Music Man before.
Wow.
And they got to see it on a big screen with the TCM audience, and then Shirley came out at the end and the crowd just went bonkers over her, and she brought all the grandkids up on stage. It was just a special moment. But it's the similar kind of feeling to see the costumes. It brings back that nostalgia, but it's beyond just watching the movie. You are standing right in front of that costume. That's special, and that's something that an experience like this can provide that nothing else really can.
I also know that you're a huge fan of My Fair Lady.
I am.
And I was wondering if you had gotten a chance to see our Ascot race costumes that we have on display at Stage 48 Script to Screen.
No, but can we go there right now?
Let's go, everybody. Yes, we do have costumes from My Fair Lady on display that you will see when you take the TCM Classic Films Tour. So, Burton, let's go down to you, my friend. Of course, being in Blazing Saddles. That was filmed right here, literally right here, on the Warner Brothers lot. What was it like filming that iconic film?
Well, I was brand new. I had done a picture called Paper Moon about 4 months before. I was a Dallas fireman for 14 years.
Oh my God, so was I.
That's right. He got fired in 1973. It was a story about him saving a woman. No, I won't even go there. It was, I had never been on a studio lot before, and when Mel and I made a deal for me to quit the Dallas Fire Department, come be in Blazing Saddles, I didn't know what a studio lot looked like. And I was so surprised that it was so huge. We did some work. There used to be a Western Street back here that they've taken out now. But when we did all the people running out onto the street, that was almost like, hey, catch us if you can. Mel Brooks said, just run out there. Everybody run out there. And if the cars, or if they happen to be coming, just run out in front of them. And everybody said, Mel, we could get hurt. I don't care. It was just a wonder to be working on a lot for me. I was brand new, knew nothing about what I was doing, although I knew I was doing it right. And because, let me tell you, after about the third day,
my character was not the character really that Mel wrote the part for. Words did not change at all. But Gene Wilder came to me and said, listen, I want to tell you something in case you're thinking you're not going down the right road, because, and Mel won't tell you. Mel will not tell you that you are doing it right, you're doing a great job, and he hasn't yet. Not yet. I'm waiting though. But he said, Mel has told me that you have changed the character just a little to not be a mean guy, just mean. I was a mean guy who had a big old smile on his face and was just having a great time with everybody about anything in the town of Rock Ridge. I loved it. I'm in the middle of writing a book right now about my first two films, Paper Moon and Blazing Saddles. And nothing, Blazing Saddles and Warner Brothers, you know, back in the old days of actors and movies, actors were under contract. They were contract players. That went out, I think, in like the early 60s. Blazing Saddles we were shooting in 73. And then people did not say, that's my home studio. Listen, this studio will always be my home studio. I loved working here. I lived, my first apartment was right up here on the hill at the Oakwood Garden Apartments. And Cleavon Little helped me get an apartment up there. And I will always, I mean, till the day my feet go straight up like that, I will always know that not only is Warner Brothers my home studio loves me.
That's amazing.
I just know that.
Hey, Brad, can I say one legitimate thing before we go?
I couldn't stop you, sir.
That's a good point. It's an honor to have TCM involved with this tour, and obviously the relationship between TCM and the studio, which has really never felt stronger in my 21 years at TCM, and I think you know, in the whole time since we've been on the air, it's never felt more connected. And so it's right and just and feels good that TCM is involved with this tour. But for years prior to this, and he's here somewhere in the back, I know they went inside, but there are really two people who I think, two public faces who contributed to America's passion and understanding that these classic films were worth preserving and worth seeing and worth talking about and worth celebrating with the people you love and the people you don't love also. One of those people was Robert Osborne, who really, you know, who invented this job. Dave and I wouldn't be here if Robert hadn't made this job a thing that mattered. And the other person, through his books and his contributions on television, was the great Leonard Maltin. And Leonard is here, his wife Alice is here, and Leonard and Jesse were like so critical in keeping people excited about this tour for so long. And I just feel like you know, everybody who loves classic movies and is dedicated to classic movies owes a significant debt of gratitude to Leonard Maltin and the entire Maltin family.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. This has been such a great panel to launch our TCM Classic Films Tour, everybody. awesome. All right, I'd like to remind you, those of you with gold lanyards, please make your way to the tour carts to start your abbreviated tour.
And welcome to the TCM Classic Films Tour. Yay! I'm so excited to have you guys here. Can everyone hear me on the microphone? Yes. Beautiful. Well, welcome. Well, we're doing a bridged version of the tour. A lot of the stuff I'll be pointing out to you, we will go into more full detail on the actual tour, but right now we're in New York Street. This is the second oldest backlot here at Warner Brothers. It was built in the early 1930s. Right here on our street, right where we're driving, this is actually where we did an amazing scene for The Big Sleep, which is a Bogey and Bacall film. They did 4 films together. My favorite Hollywood couple of all time. If you guys look to your left, you see technically it is called the Friends Fountain, which no, that's not a classic just yet. However, the fountain is from 1935. Some of the first people ever to be on our fountain are Buster Keaton and the Three Stooges. You can see this in a lot of old black and white TV shows, Dennis the Menace, Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie, The Monkees, The Waltons, and it was only moved here a few years ago. Some of you guys might know this as Commissioner Gordon's office for the original Batman TV series with Adam West. Yes, guess what? They run in there to go find out what the heck Penguin just did, and unfortunately that's the front of it, and dun-dun-dun-dun, that's the back of it. That's it. It's completely fake. Now here we're entering our front lot. Front lot houses 30 sound stages. We do have a lot of production here in our front lot. I think every single soundstage at the moment is occupied. A lot of our stages are from the 30s. We have some that are a little bit earlier from 1926, which are the 4 original sound stages that First National Picture had when we bought the lot in 1928. So stage 19, if you can see our plaque. Oh, they just put the Young Sheldon soundstage on there. This is their last day of filming. We're very sad to see them go, I know. But stage 19 is actually known as the Doris Day stage. She did 19 films with us. A lot of them filmed inside of stage 19. 19 films, 19, there you go. So as we come down, stage 20 right now is occupied by Sex Life of College Girls. Stage 15 is also where we have Young Sheldon. But this is where we did the fart scene around the campfire for Blazing Saddles, one of my favorite Mel Brooks films. Yeah, Blazing Saddles. It is connected to some of these offices with these windows. This was part of our old art department. They needed the windows for the north-facing sunlight because that's how they did their art, was for our sun. But as we come down the way, we'll be hitting some of the original sound stages, like stage 14. These are some of our original sound stages from 1926. So they're actually almost 100 years old. We do have our actual fire department. It's a real one. The water tower that you guys saw on Brownstone Street actually used to be around here. There was an earthquake in the 30s. One of those legs buckled and almost fell on the real working fire department. So we moved it. It's also closer to a lot of our wood backlots, which that's where we need our water mostly. But here's the inside of an empty sound stage. So you can see the bigger plaque. Every stage has this plaque. It says what stage it is, when it was constructed, and a greatest hit list. So you can see 1926. But yeah, there's an empty sound stage. Stage 12, though, this is a very, very special stage. This is where we did the last scene for one of my favorite films, Casablanca. We had our airport scene inside of stage 12. We also had the Ascot race for My Fair Lady, one of my favorite musicals. The crazy thing is you see that wall that's right there in the back? We actually can remove that wall and it's one big soundstage, stage 12 and stage 18. For the Ascot race, they had actual horses and they couldn't stop in time, so they started on the other soundstage, went through that elephant door, came around the corner, and actually stopped here in our little alleyway because there was not enough room for our poor horses to stop. Now this area is known as our honor roll. We have this incredible plaque. This was erected in 1944. Anyone who worked here at Warner Brothers and went over and did World War II, their name is on this wall. So some of my favorite people are like Jimmy Stewart, Ronald Reagan, the Epstein brothers who wrote Casablanca, and of course one of our founding fathers, Jack L. Warner. Now behind this area is our Rose Garden. On the actual tour, we get to walk over there and experience our Rose Garden, where we had the famous photo with Olivia de Havilland and Errol Flynn sword fighting for Captain Blood. Now as we come around this corner, a lot of these are our older offices. So this is from the 20s to the 30s. If you're a fan of Jennifer Hudson, there's our offices right there. So these are a lot of our older buildings. These used to be bungalows for some of our incredible contract actors like Humphrey Bogart, Bette Davis, Joan Crawford, and Edward G. Robinson. Yeah, they're this. You're our soundstage. You not only have to be pivotal to Warner Brothers, but to the world as a whole in order to get these smaller plaques. Stage 10, though, this is also an awesome soundstage because this is where we created Urkel for Family Matters, one of our amazing sitcoms. You can also have another TV show, The Real, is down there, but you can see some of our amazing classics as well. Now, if you look to your left, stage 16, this is the tallest soundstage in North America. It stands at 98 feet. It was actually lifted from the ground up back in the 30s for a movie called Cain and Mabel, starring Clark Gable and Marion Davies. We wanted to fit more elaborate sets, so we were able to actually lift up the soundstage from the ground to that little barrier that's right there. This also has the 2.2 million gallon water tank underneath our floorboards. So this is where we've done such incredible water scenes as our iceberg scene for The Great Race. And if you guys ever actually watched that scene, you can see the lights from the ceiling reflected in the water. Yeah, I know. No. We also had, of course, our drag scene for Rebel Without a Cause inside of stage 16, Covent Garden for My Fair Lady. He started with 42nd Street, an incredible choreographer. All of his musicals were done inside of stage 16, so it's huge musical numbers. Yeah, this is Abbott Elementary. Newer TV show. But yes, they're actually wrapped for their season. So yeah, we have a school bus for Abbott. Look at the little horse for the horses. That was actually on the old western lot called Laramie Street. So those guys are from the 1940s. But we'll pop on in and we'll explore our prop house.
Your tour will take you to the Prop House. Established in the early days of the studio, the Prop House is home to treasures and antiques from some of the very first Warner Brothers productions. Explore one of the largest prop houses in Los Angeles and discover rare props from Hollywood's golden era. Life of Emile Zola was our first Oscar picture winner. Rick's Cafe for Casablanca, and Professor Higgins's House for My Fair Lady. Right now it's home to All American Homecoming, one of our newer shows, but also held our first sitcom, Alice, was inside of stage 7, so it's a special sound stage. Here's our loading dock bay. You can see some of our bigger furniture up on that top floor. A movie called The Prince and the Pauper that stars Errol Flynn. Our cathedral scene was inside of there. Stage 5, this was where we had our first season of Friends, because Full House was actually doing their last season inside of the Friends sound stage. Stage 6 and 9 are actually home to one of my favorite movies ever made, Arsenic and Old Lace. It stars Cary Grant. If you've never seen it, it's so funny. But yes, that was their house inside of stage 6 and 7. Well, we'll keep coming down the way.
Yeah, thank you for joining us for the Warner Brothers TCM Classic Films Tour at Top Whitehall. The next stage, studio adventures and self-guided tour called Stage 40 Christmas Trip.
Inside Stage 48 script to screen, you'll find the Central Perk Cafe to grab a sandwich or a drink if you'd like, and there's also Friends merchandise. Also inside of Stage 48 is a self-guided portion of the tour. You'll gain behind-the-scenes access literally to movie-making process, from casting calls to the lure of the red carpet award season. You will also get a close-up look at award-winning costumes from the Warner Brothers archives, plus much more from Warner Brothers Classics.
It went all over her costume. So that's unfortunately due to autographs. It's Young Man with a Horn and a Lily de Havilland as well. Well, Hudson Hall is actually where we're at, a police station for Rebel Without a Cause. And then the whole town was east of the Eden for our James Dean as well. So we're actually gonna come through. This is our French Street. Right now it is set up for young children. To our right, you see this incredible bamboo to the entrance of our lagoon. The bamboo was actually put here in the 1970s for the TV show Kung Fu, starring David Carradine. And usually when you do anything to the backlots, you have to put it back the way you found it, except bamboo is an invasive species. So we kept it here because it wasn't going anywhere. And it actually made it look like Africa for Looney Tunes back in action. This is Brendan Fraser riding on an elephant in Africa. This also was Vietnam for John Wayne's Green Berets. 1,000 gallons of water. Takes about 10 hours to fill, 12 to drain. There's also coils underneath to heat the water up to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Nice little spa for our actors. But if you picture George Clooney, gorgeous, wet in a tuxedo, jumps in the Chicago River to save a drowning boy in ER. You actually can see the steam rising out from the water, even though it's winter time. A little frog named Kermit sang Rainbow Connections back in the 70s for the Muppet movies. And we had Paul Rubin, our Pee-wee Herman, drive his bicycle through here for Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So yes, our lagoon has been constantly utilized. Now the cabin here, this was put here for the FBI story that stars Jimmy Stewart. Our backlot stuff basically were all around the US of A for that movie. But this is actually known as Ira's Roadside Diner for $1 Million Baby, where they get the best piece of lemon meringue pie. Street, it was our Western lot. Like I said, we became really big in the 50s and 60s for Western TV shows. So Cheyenne, Maverick, Sugarfoot, Little House on the Prairie, The Waltons, Roots, all filmed on this one street. And then we'll go here more so on the actual tour, but if you guys look to your left, you see that beige building? That's called Termite Terrace. That's where our animators and our art department used to be before going on their front lot. This was created in the 1950s. We did some Looney Tunes characters from the 50s to the 60s. We created Speedy Gonzales inside of our little Termite Terrace.
The second self-guided portion of the tour is Action and Magic Made Here. You'll get up close and personal to DC Universe, Wizarding World of Harry Potter, just to name a few, with recreated sets, authentic props, costumes, and memorable photo ops.
So try me on, and I will tell you where you ought to be.
Your cunning is matched by few. Yes, no question here. You belong in
Slytherin!
here from Warner Brothers Studios, opening day of the Classic Film Tour. Make sure you check it out. So we just saw an abbreviated version today. We did not see the whole tour. We do not want to spoil it for you, and they want to leave some magic. So make sure you book those tickets. Are available now. You can take their regular tour, their deluxe tour, or their classic film tour. They're a different variety. You get to see Stage 48, script to screen. You get to explore the building here with Harry Potter, DC Comics, Game of Thrones. Really, really fun. You can take your picture on the Friends couch. A lot to see here at Warner Brothers Studios, so make sure you check it out. Thank you to Warner Brothers Studio Tour for having us out. Really had a good time. If you like the video, give it a big thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button with the notification bell turned on, and follow us on social media. Please note, as this was a media event, we did a little bit of filming on the back lot, but typically filming is not permitted on the tour. Photography in most areas is permitted. If it is not, your tour guide will let you know.